let's talk about single leg deadlifts. This is a great exercise to progress from a double leg deadlift, which we practice in some other videos, really working on glute strength, hamstring strength, core control, stability, balance, all kinds of different things. What we're gonna do is kind of go through a progression. First, let's talk about the overall form that we're going for with this exercise. We wanna make sure that we're getting a lot of hinging at our hip as we're going forward, not getting a ton of movement through our back. It's not necessarily a bad thing to get movement through your back. We're just wanting to focus on the one motion for now. With this, a foam roller is a really nice way to start. You can stand holding on to something for a little bit of extra balance, or if you're feeling really confident in that part, you can do this without. I'm gonna put the foam roller on the top of my foot, and then with my hand on top, I'm gonna just maintain a little bit of pressure between those 2 points. This helps me engage my core muscles and make sure that I'm staying pretty stable throughout my spine here with this movement. Then what I'm going to do is stand on my opposite leg, and keeping that pressure on the foam roller, I'm going to hinge at my left hip to get everything to move forward. I wanna make sure that as I'm doing this, I'm not letting my back arch, so I'm not letting my hand drift away from my torso. I'm kind of locking everything in here, even at my elbow, so that everything is moving together. You can let that knee bend a little bit if your hamstrings are feeling pretty tight, or you can work on keeping a straighter leg if that's feeling comfortable for you. That's a nice place to start and get used to this movement. The next step for this exercise, I'm going to use a high surface. In this case, I have a rolling stool, but a chair, a bench at the gym, anything like that's a great place to start. And then a small weight is all we need for this. I'm gonna be doing exactly the same movement, except this time, I'm aiming to pick up the weight, bring it to my chest, and then set it back down with the next repetition. Here's what that looks like. Still thinking, hinging at my left hip, letting that left knee bend a little bit, but keeping nice and straight through this right side. I'm going to pitch forward just as if I had that foam roller still. Grab the weight and bring it up. You can reset if you need to for balance, and then come back down and set the weight down and come back up. If that's feeling pretty easy, we start to move it down to lower and lower surfaces. So maybe you find a small step, a couple of books that you're going to set your weight on top of now. Same exact movement here, hinging at that hip, coming down to pick up that weight, bring it up to my chest, and then take it back down to the step and come back up. You can eventually work this all the way down to have the weight on the floor. For an even added challenge, you could have a yoga block or something where you are standing on top of it, but the weight is down on the floor. So you're actually having to go further and you're challenging your balance, especially with something like a yoga block. Then, in order to progress this, you also can change the weight that you're using. So this, for demo purposes, was just 2 pounds. You could go up to 5, 10, 15, whatever feels comfortable. To progress this exercise, you have those 2 options. You can either make the movement more difficult by getting to a lower and lower surface, or by increasing the weight that you're using. I always recommend changing only one thing at a time so that your body has a chance to adjust, but it's a great way to work on strengthening a lot of muscles in the back of the hip and leg and getting some nice stability and control and balance with everything.